Good afternoon. Don't stop eating, but I want to welcome you all here. This is a great turnout. The excitement is building. I think everybody's going to have a good time, and you're going to really enjoy our lunchtime speaker. So for those of you who don't know, my name is Jeff Walker. I'm the Executive Administrator of the Water Development Board, and this is our second conference we've ever done. And, you know, I kind of got wrangled into the first one. In fact, over 2 years ago, when I first started as an EA, I inherited a planning conference. We had the location, but we had no speakers. And so immediately started brainstorming, who are we going to have? And somebody came up and said, you know, I heard this guy, he's a pretty good talker. His name's Roy Spence. I said, I know that name. In fact, Roy's from my hometown of Brownwood. His mom was my civics teacher. We both played for the legendary football coach Gordon Wood. And so I said, I'll reach out to him. And so I did, and after swapping a lot of Brownwood stories and watching my coworkers' eyes roll back in their heads from hearing some of these stories, Roy agreed to come talk. And so, you know, Roy agreed to be our speaker, and as a part of his preparation for the speech, we gave him the most recent state water plan. It's a document about that thick, a big book, and he actually read it, every page. And he came up to me right before that night before the speech, and he said, Jeff, I had no idea. I had no idea that we plan for 50 years, and if we don't plan and we don't implement these projects, we're going to run out of water. I said, yes, sir, we do. He said, we got to tell people. I said, yes, we do. And so he agreed, and he's become a proponent and one of the biggest proponents of reaching out to people and how are we going to tell this story. So, you know, my eyes lit up when one of the most successful advertisers in the world was behind how do we tell the story of the water of Texas story. And so, you know, Roy is truly inspiring. And since that time, we've been working on a project to how we tell that. And, you know, how do we get that message out? And so it was a no-brainer to invite him back. And so y'all want to hear from me, y'all want to hear from Roy, and he'll truly inspire you. So help me welcome Roy Spence.
Well, hello everybody. Thank you, Brownwood, for that great introduction, although well-deserved. Y'all can laugh, come on, help me. But thank you again for all that you do. It's great to be here again. Go ahead and eat. Oh, you are, so it's good. But I got to tell you three things when I talked to Jeff about coming back. He basically asked me the question. He said, well, since you got involved last year and you know a little bit about the water situation, but you're still kind of an outsider, what would you tell the group about what you're going through? And I told him three things. Number one, and I'm not sucking up to y'all because I don't have to because you're not paying me anything. But anyway, I am in awe of what you do. And nobody thanks you, do they? I'm thanking you. I'm thanking you because I have a 4-year-old grandson named Charlie who's awesome. And I have a 2-year-old granddaughter named Scarlett who's awesome. And they want to live in Texas for the rest of their lives, and they can't without the work that you're doing. So on behalf of Charlie and Scarlett, thank you. I appreciate what y'all are doing. Secondly, I told him that I was sort of struck with, when I read the book, it was fairly boring, but it was scary. No, it was, really. Let's be honest about it. It was nice and pictures and shit, but anyway. I was struck, though, with this thought, and I got lucky in life, and I'll tell you a little bit about it. I got to hang out with visionary leaders. Visionary. You know, it's Jim Collins' book, Good to Great, Built to Last, great friend of mine. He talked about the characteristics of visionary leaders. And out of all of them, the number one that I've been a part of, and if I listed the names, you'd think I was bragging, but I got lucky. The visionary leaders are the ones who spend the time to understand the problem. Not kind of, not sort of. And then they spend no time predicting the future. They spend all of their time creating the future. That's what we have to do, and that's what you're about. And the third thing I admired about you guys can keep a secret. You know what I'm talking about? I mean the fact that no one knows that in 50 years we'll have 71% growth in population, and the biggest growth will be in C, G, and H, Dallas and Houston, and we'll have about a 20% increase in consumption, but the consumption will outweigh the demand by a lot, and y'all haven't told anybody. I admire that in y'all. I'm good, aren't I? But we're going to change that, aren't we? And I appreciate it as a citizen and a father and a grandfather. A couple of things I just want to talk about. Number one, and I'm a little emotional about it because my father, my brother, my mentor, my coach, Herb Kelleher, passed away 3 weeks ago, Southwest Airlines. He hired me when I was 28 years old. He had 28 airplanes. And the first time I met him, we drank a mayonnaise jar of mezcal and ate the worm. But he was one of the visionaries. He created the future of airlines. Do you know that in 1971, when I was born, my company was born. Southwest was born, and only 15% of the American people had ever flown. 15%. Herb Kelleher went to the Supreme Court twice, and one day I was sitting with him, and he was smoking, and I said, I don't think you're in the airline business. He said, what are you talking about? I said, I think you're in the freedom business. And he put his ashtray down, his cigarette in an ashtray. He said, what are you talking about? I said, you set out with a mighty purpose to democratize the skies. Today, 86% of the American people have flown because of Southwest Airlines. By the way, you know what he did? He didn't predict the future, he created it. And he passed away. And we're doing a tribute to him, but you know this is stunning. 60,000 employees got together and raised money to run television ads on the NFL football games in honor of their chairman. You want to see it? We'll play it again. Yeah, we play that.
Dear Herb, thanks for always remembering our names, for keeping our airline flying high and our spirits even higher, for being both the hardest worker and the life of the party, and for turning a company into a family. We will be forever in your debt, and we will aspire to keep your spirit alive. With love and gratitude, the employees and retirees of Southwest Airlines.
They raised about $20 million. And when I introduced him into the Advertising Hall of Fame about 5 years ago, I got inducted the year later. There are 3 Texans in the National Advertising Hall of Fame. I introduced him, I said, I didn't know he drank until one day he came into a meeting sober. You know what he taught us the best? Around my neck is a symbol of every religion in the world. Just to kind of cover my bases. But the reason I did that, I did a book called The Amazing Faith of Texas years ago, and I found out there's one thing every religion has in common, and that is a version of the Golden Rule. And that's what Herb practiced. He treated people like you want to be treated. So, great to be here. Before we get started, I'm going to play 2 TV spots because I can. And I picked these 2 out. They're recent, and they mean a lot because it's going to tie in, Jeff, that you can use marketing to serve the greater good. Don't believe that you can't. So these are 2 commercials, and I'll play them if you could, Ed.
Like the pine trees lining the winding road, I got a name, I've got a name. Like the singing bird and the croaking toad, I I got a name. I've got a name. And I carry it with me like my daddy did. But I'm living the dream that he kept here. Moving me down the highway, rolling me down the highway, moving no hair so life won't pass me by.
Those who live up to their names make one for themselves.
I just kind of want to make my own name, you know.
Goodyear, more driven.
I'm just so proud of all of you who have grown up with us. And I know how tough it is some days to look with hope and confidence on the months and years ahead. But I would like to tell you what I often told you when you were much younger. I like you just the way you are. And what's more, I'm so grateful to you for helping the children in your life to know that you'll do everything you can to keep them safe and to help them express their feelings in ways that will bring healing in many different neighborhoods. It's such a good feeling to know that we're lifelong friends.
We just did that voluntarily. 2 young women at our company are from Pittsburgh, and they work at midnight and weekends. They talk to the Mr. Rogers estate, and last weekend, it's running all over Pittsburgh, and we gave it to the city of Pittsburgh because we're neighbors. Marketing can serve the greater good if we'll let it. So, welcome to Austin. Home of South by Southwest, home of Formula One. Who goes to Formula One? Why? Anyway. And also, as I did last year, put the slide up if you don't mind. Home of my bro, Matthew. He was on Good Morning America today, and we become friends because I don't need anything from him, and he didn't need anything from me, unlike y'all. But anyway, but we've become great friends, and he's going to be part of the new arena that has been announced. We're going to take down the Irwin Center, and we were on stage together about a month ago to about 11,000 convention people in the convention, and I stood up and said, we want you to come to Austin. We want you to love it a lot. We want you to eat a lot. We want you to drink a lot. We want you to spend a lot. And then he said, and then we want you to leave. And we mean it. So put it down or nobody will look at me. I found in purpose, and my Brownwood buddy knows this, everyone has a chance to find their own purpose if you're really intent on doing it, and we have ways to help people discover their purpose. And I found that once you discover your purpose and you can articulate it, more purpose moments come into your life. And by the way, I'm on a journey to democratize purpose so everyone can find their purpose early in life. But I found that if more purpose you do, the more it comes in your life. Like last Labor Day, 2 years ago, my wife and I were driving back from Yellowstone, celebrating our 41st anniversary. Thank you. And we got to Denver, and we realized we couldn't get to Austin because all the flights had been canceled because of Harvey. So we drove 19 hours, and we're still married. Barely, but we're working through that part. And I get home on Labor Day morning at 1 in the morning. And at 8 in the morning, I get a call. Roy, this is Bill. Listen, all the farm presidents want to get together. We want to help those folks down at Harvey. And you're the only person all 5 of us trust. Can you do it for us? I'm good, aren't I? I said, well, sure, Mr. President. Well, there's a couple of problems here now, Roy, you got to deal with. You know that. We have to film tomorrow. This is Labor Day. And we're all in 5 different locations. Maine, Plains, New York, Washington, California. Okay. okay, sir. And there's something else too, Roy. You got to film in the morning because we take naps in the afternoon. You can't make this up. So, Mr. President, you want me to get 5 crews, 5 film 5 former presidents tomorrow morning, and in 5 different locations. Yeah, there's also one other thing, Roy, and we love you. You know that. We got to be on the air the next night because the NFL had given us 30 seconds on the first NFL game in D.C. So I put the phone down and started crying. No, really. And I called my daughter, who's awesome in San Francisco, if you need marketing for millennials. She started crying. Within 4 hours, we had 5 camera crews volunteering their time, going to 5 different locations. Put down that slide because they're not looking at me. Okay, yeah, put that one down. Ed, take the slide down. Okay, thank you. And I don't sleep, so it's 4 a.m, and I'm watching television, and I start crying again because Irma was headed to Miami, and I had to change all the spots. We filmed them all. They were on the next night. Now, 5 presidents in a 30-second spot. These people are opinion rich. I had them all on the phone, and I said, listen, Mr. Bush, if you get 2 more seconds than Mr. Carter, sorry, Mr. Carter, get over it. 5 presidents in 30 seconds. You want to see it? Okay, let's run it.
Recently, our country has witnessed catastrophic devastation. Hurricanes and flooding have upended lives and livelihoods.
Across this great country, Americans have answered the call.
That special calling that compels us when others are down to step up and do whatever it takes.
America's at her best when, against all odds, we come together and lift each other up.
Please donate to oneamericaappeal.org. America needs you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Jeff knows my best friend in the world is still a man named Bill Blagg. I met him when I was 4 years old. He was my next door neighbor in Brownwood. He still lives in Brownwood. He volunteers for the Red Cross all over the country. He was down in Houston in the church, and every time this spot ran, everyone would look at each other and say, if they can put aside their differences, we can too. You know what America needs? We need leaders who are driven by purpose, not politics. Okay, I'm running. No, really. We have got to move beyond the pettiness of politics and have leaders who believe in the purpose of this great nation. And this great nation is not built on us versus them, and that's all we get to hear from all sides. It's built on us, like in USA. That's good, isn't it? But when you look at USA now, you'll never see it the same. It's about us, and that's what you're trying to do. I don't know your political persuasion. I know that you're purpose-driven because you're trying to save Texas. More to come on that. My journey started in Brownwood. Put up that slide if you would. That's my sister Susan. She was born with spinal bifida. I told you that last time. My hero, spinal bifida back then. All the nerves supposed to go on your legs are bundled up in an open wound on your back. And you never walk, you never have a chance to walk. They can solve that in the womb now, by the way. She was supposed to live to be 4 days. She lived to be 49 years old because of my mom. Us kids would push her stomach and take her to the bathroom. We didn't know that was gross. We'd rub her legs every night so she didn't have bed sores. She graduated from high school. South Ward, that little place that helped people with disabilities. She came to Austin, went to community colleges, and by the way, they're my heroes now. Not because of that, but I spoke to the commencement ACC, and I spent 5 hours talking to all 1,200 graduates. And by the way, they're not elitist. They're working people. Their kids are there. There's 10.5 million students in community colleges. We need to lift their image up because they're changing America for the better. But I used to push my sister around the community college, and then on Sundays, they'll get mad. I'd push her. We'd listen to the Dallas Cowboys and eat Whataburgers. And when she passed away, I was in her bed. I told you some of this about, and I had this epiphany all these years. I still sorry that thought I'd been pushing her. She'd been pushing me. That's purpose. And you can put that slide down. Thank you. And I got to hang out with all these purpose leaders. Sam Walton, who called me Collect, by the way, when he hired me. You can't make this up. He called me Collect at Sheep's. He said, "Oh, Roy, I like you because my dog is named Oh, Roy." And 5 former presidents, Herb Kelleher, Norm Brinker at Dallas with Chili's, all these amazing purpose-inspired. We've had the Air Force, by the way, for 40 years. And you talk about a mighty purpose. I met the general, 4-star general, the first time we ever went there. And all the staff, I was new. And you went to Pentagon, and we did this 17-mile trip around the whole thing. And he was sitting there, and he had a timer, because he has 21-minute meetings. And his staff's way behind me, and they were yelling, his staff was yelling at me, I was new, because he decided to sponsor a NASCAR. And they've been coming in last. And they've been using your money. And they said, you have to tell him, that is a part of the new thing, we can't do NASCAR. He's a 4-star general. So I'm sitting there right there, and we're talking, we're having a great conversation, talking about where we came from, and the bell went off, and I went, yes. Ding, and all the colonels around him surround him. And he said, everybody sit down just for a minute. He said, my staff behind you think it's a really dumb, you know what I'm saying, idea to have a NASCAR. And I'm going, this is not going to end up good. And he said, what do you think, since it's your first day on the job? This is a 4-star general. And I'm not afraid of much. He's staring at me, and the staff's staring at me. You got to tell him. And I said, well, General Haney, here's what I think. Sometimes my job is to take dumbass ideas and make them brilliant. He got up and shook my hand. Everybody's just staring at me. Now, every NASCAR, Air Force flies over them, and we get millions of dollars of advertising because we take a dumb idea and make it brilliant. Is that good? I was scared to death. Anyway, I want to play this video one more time, the next one, because I just saw my son in New York City. He's the guy that went to Tulane. I told my kids, you need to tell your kids, you can make a living doing what you love to do. Now, you need to be good at it. If you love to sing and you suck at it, don't try to make a living. But go home and ask your kids what do they love to do. He came back from Tulane, which is really cheap. Anyway. And he cooked my wife and I a 4-course meal. This is 4 years ago. And I said, Shay, what have you been doing at school? And he said, watching the Food Network. And he pulled out my visa and going out to eat. Oh, he's a Brit. I said, let's go. So he went to culinary school 4 years ago. And today, his birthday was yesterday. And he was named senior food editor for People magazine at 28 years old. You can make a living in life. We got to move our schools from teaching and testing to talent development and coaching. We have to move them because I told you that story. My mom was a civics teacher. We don't teach civics anymore, by the way. 20% of the American population thinks Judge Judy is on the Supreme Court. No, I can't. I'm not making this up. Anyway. So we got to have kids be able to do what they love to do. And this idea, we have to have competency, we have to read, we have to have core testing. I understand that. But I told you that story. I was in 8th grade. I turned in you remember cursive? Blue book thing. I turned in a paper on Emerson. I still have it. I told you some of you. I got back. There were 8 misspelled words, and there was a huge C-. It's in my office still. And my mom, we didn't say, good job, Roy. Good job for that C-. But Ruth didn't say anything. Next year, I had Mrs. Levacy. Now, I remembered her name. I told my mom, I said, I can't turn in the paper. It was about Emerson again. She said, turn it in. So I turned it in, I got it back. I didn't have 8 misspelled words, I had 11. The whole book was red. And I'm freaked out at 14 years old. And at the top of the paper, there was a tiny A-. And I went home, 2104 Belmead, my street, my little table. Susan was in her wheelchair, and I put the papers in front of my mom, and I said, I don't get it. And she said, you can't spell. But Mrs. Levacy thinks you can write. And at 14 years old, in the kitchen of my little home in Brownwood, Texas, my mom cut the grand bargain at 14 years old. She said, I don't want you to spend another second of your life trying to be average at what you're bad at. I want you to spend the rest of your life become great at what you're good at. Shouldn't we be doing that in America? America was born different. We ought to find kids' talents. Everyone's got one. And we need to transform it. I know so many teachers are so burnt out because all they do is test versus have time to coach. I don't know why I got off on it, but you can't stop me. But this is what we have to do, just like water. If we're going to save this country, we've got to transform and let talent rise. And if you're willing to work hard and take responsibility, did you hear those 2 words? Work hard and take responsibility. Every kid in this country should have the chance to live up to their God-given potential. And we're not going to do it if you can't spell and you become average at it, and that's all you do. Does that make sense? So I'm on this, and saving water, saving America. Anyway, so I told my wife for 41 years I'd never miss one of our kids' birthdays. Well, Shay's was yesterday. I didn't miss it, but I missed his birthday when he was 15. You know, some of you have seen this, but could we play this video? So I asked these guys to do something for me.
Shay, first time I met your dad, he wasn't much older than you are now. I want to wish you a happy 15th birthday and say I hope you look as good at 56 as he does, and I hope you're a whole lot smarter.
Shay, there's the old guy here. My kid did all right, President of the United States, and with a dad like this, you got obstacles. We all know that, but I think you're going to make it. We've heard wonderful things about you. Happy birthday.
They hadn't talked to each other in 5 years. Bill Clinton had just had quadruple bypass surgery. The White House called me. Can you get these guys together? Papa Bush flew in. He was an amazing man, by the way. And can you get both of them together? They got together. They raised almost $1 billion when that tsunami hit. That's what purpose looks like. And that Barbara Bush gave me a handwritten note that was the day George Papa Bush, I call, became the dad Bill Clinton never had. We can do this, people. We just got to listen to one another and be driven by purpose, not politics. So I was thinking about this a lot, and I remember some of the numbers about what y'all are doing. If you survey the people of Texas, if you just go through the numbers on this, you know, there's a percent who say it's not my problem, water. There's a percent who says, I want to clean it up. There's a percent who says, I'm not changing my ways. There's a percent who says, we got to do something about it. There's a percent, are we going to run out of water? If you tear it apart, basically there's about 60% of the people of Texas who, with the right motivation, will do something. And then there's about 40% who'll be, but the people who say, I'm not going to change my ways, we can persuade them. We're not going to really get that 20% who say, it's not my problem. And at some point, you got to write off the 20%. You hear what I'm saying? Because it will be, I'm kidding. But part of what you saw today with Andy, I have a small team working with the Meadows Foundation and working with you guys, that we've got to change the culture of Texas by letting people know And we have to do it in a way that will motivate them. Let's do that first slide real quick. Y'all remember that? What we stumble into, we laddered up from litter to pride. Didn't even know it. And we asked people to do something. So part of what this campaign that we're looking at, it's in the very early stages. You saw some of it this morning, but next slide. I love this. Ours is not to question why, ours is to do or dry. Hell yeah. And I know we have flooding, all that, but in the end, if we let people, especially young, and by the way, stay with me here. Next year, 30% of all media spent, all the billions and billions of dollars around this country, 30% will be spent on TV and 30% will be spent on mobile. Yeah, young people are nodding their heads. Old people, you don't know what I'm talking about. It's okay. We'll work through this with y'all. Can you imagine if we do or dry and some kid is walking through Brownwood and says, oh, by the way, 8 miles from here is your lake. Better go out there and clean it up. Hit them right there. This campaign could be the most fantastic campaign ever run in Texas, and we're doing it to make sure. In the next slide real quick, I just love some of the, hey, it's a water break, football game, and everybody gets a text. You won't have any water in 20 years in Austin. Love y'all. Go Horns. But could we have fun with this and also get people, so we can put the slide down. It's going to be really fun. So, and I'm telling this, and I know I'm going to be cutting this short, but y'all have a mighty purpose. It's in your hands, and we got to share this, because if we share it, people will join us. And I've been thinking about America a lot, the purpose of this great country. And about 2 years ago, I was climbing Mount Sopris, Carbondale, Colorado. Anybody know where that is? Y'all need to get out more. Anyway, so I just watched Apollo 13 for the 100th time. Tom Hanks going, Houston, we got a problem. So I'm about halfway up the mountain by myself. I look around to make sure no one's around, and I go, America, we got a problem. And I went back down, stay with me, and I said, we got a marketing problem in this country. All we get to hear is what they want us to hear. Can you turn on the TV? All we get to hear is what they want us to hear. I'm done with it. I'm done with us versus them. You know the first motto of America? E pluribus unum. I took Latin. Why? It's so stupid. But anyway, e pluribus unum. Out of many one. And so I decided to take on America as my client. Pro bono. And I've been going around the country. We're mobilizing purpose-inspired marketing people. We're going to market the best of America to America. And we're going to do it for 8 years. Because in 8 years, we will celebrate our 250th birthday as the country. Gallup's my partner. We're going to measure the movement. We've got to destroy the us versus them and build this high-performing, job-creating, inclusive culture of us in America. And we're going to do it through marketing. Can we do it? Can we do it? Well, these next 3 TV spots will show you we were a littering state. I used to go in the back of my daddy's 71 pickup and throw trash on the highway because he told me it kept people employed. No, this is real. And it did. And with marketing, no fines, no federal regulation, no state regulation, we changed the culture. We reduced litter by 75% in 2 years. We changed the culture through marketing. So let's have fun. Play these 3 back to back.
Mamas, tell all your babies, don't mess with Texas. Don't let them throw cans from them old pickup trucks. Don't let them throw bottles and papers and such. Mamas, tell all your babies, don't mess with Texas. Keep your trash off the roads, and she's a fine yellow rose. Treat Texas like someone you love.
One take.
If your brother takes from you, you give to him. And if he slanders you, you sing his praises. But if he ever messes with Texas, pray for him, brother. Pray for him. Pray for him.
My favorite. This is my favorite.
They've been messing with us again. Let's ride.
Some people are such animals.
So, as you know, some of you know, I launched and I'd love for you to go to the website. It's called the Promiseland Project. And we launched it at South by Southwest last year. Two of the key elements of the Promiseland Project is, first of all, we got to start walking each other's shoes again in America. We got to walk the factories. We got to respect the dignity of all work again. Even before the government shut down, I thank TSA employees, and they say, "What'd you say?" I said, "I thank you for what y'all do." I thank the men and women who clean up our restrooms in the airports. They say, he says, "What?" I said, "Thank you for what you do." We got to respect the dignity of all work, and we're on a mission with the Promised Land to do that. We got to walk in each other's shoes. So, first slide. No, I'm sorry, this happened, I did this right after 9/11. We can also build a culture of us through marketing. This was I'm an American. Go ahead, sorry. I messed up, Ed, my bad.
I am an American.
I am an American.
I'm an American.
I am an American. I'm an American.
I am an American.
I am an American. I am an American.
I am an American.
I am an American.
I am an American.
I am an American.
I am an American.
I am an American.
I am an American.
I am an American.
I am an American.
I am an American.
I'm an American.
I am an American.
I
am an American.
I am an American.
I am an American.
I am American.
I am America.
I'm an American.
I'm an American. I'm an American.
I am an American.
I am an American.
I'm an American.
I am an American.
I am an American.
It ran more than any PSA in the history of America. I'm an American. Okay, thank you, Ed. I screwed up, and now whatever. But I was going about the Promised Land. One, we got to walk in each other's shoes. So I think the next slide is the right one, isn't it? Is there? Okay, yeah. I'm on stage at South by Southwest for 2,000 people, and out walks, all right. Matthew, what are you doing here? He said, you want to walk in somebody else's shoes? I got a dart. I went, I know, but what are you doing here? He says, see that map? I'm going to throw it, and wherever it goes, you and your camera crew are going. I was praying for Naples. It hit Wadford City, North Dakota. Now, anybody know where that is? Okay, love you. And I went, okay. So my daughter went out there. We met all these folks from North Dakota. Wadford City, population 1,200 5 years ago, population 10,000 because of fracking. It's a melting pot of America. Every state is now represented in that town, 15 different countries. They're building, if you go walk the Lower East Side, have y'all ever done that? That's the birthplace of America, entrepreneurship. By the way, only 2% of public schools teach entrepreneurship in this country. Don't get me off on this. And I can't solve guns, and we can solve stuff. We got to let our young people know that if you can dream it, you can build it. So anyway, we went there, Wadford City. I cut a radio spot. I was fabulous. And I'll tell you how big this town is. The 60-second spot costs $30 to run on radio. It's Brownwood, bro. And we met all these people, and they have a new Rough Rider Center. And I went to the Texas Home Builders, and a boy from San Angelo, old boy, our age, my age, not yours. He said, I talked to the Texas Home Builders. I said, I want to build America's new front porch. Biggerstaff came up to me and he said, I'm from San Angelo. You kicked our butts in football, but I like you. I'm building it. He and his staff, his crew, in the American Institute of Architects, my client, they built literally America's new front porch. If we can show that next slide. There it is. They hauled it 1,700 miles from San Angelo, Texas to Wadford City, North Dakota. And at 5:30 in the morning last month, we had the North Dakota Home Builders, myself at 5 in the morning. It was snowing there. Don't live there, but it's a great place. And here pulls up the Texas boys, and we unloaded that front porch and rebuilt it in 4 hours. We had 500 people show up at Wadford City, 500 on a Sunday afternoon. They didn't know us. I guess radio works. But anyway, and I got on the porch and I said, we're going to have 5 hours conversation on America's new front porch. And by the way, the idea came from Tracy Lawrence's old song. If the world had a front porch like we had back then, we would have problems, but we'd still be friends. We'd treat each other like next to kin. We wouldn't be blowing in the wind. We're going to take this front porch to all 50 states. And I started the conversation by saying, we're going to have a 5-hour conversation about purpose of America, not politics. These are mama's rules. 5.5 hours, not one piece of politics were talked about. This town went 78% for Trump. If you don't ask people what their politics, we're all alike. You hear me? There's 20% that aren't, like water, they don't care. But the rest of us, we care about our kids. So we had high school kids on the porch from every race, nationality. You know, they had the same dreams. They had the same nightmares. We had a 2-hour discussion about, stay with me here, I'm launching a campaign called Skill Up America this fall. We got to kill the myth that a 4-year college degree is the only path to success in this country. It's wrong. We have 7 million jobs. We have 65,000 welder jobs in Louisiana, 65,000 paying $60,000 a year and full benefit, and no one's applying for it because if you don't go to college, you're a loser. I'm going to change that through marketing. I'm going to run on NCAA football, and it's going to be, hey, why don't you sign up to Skill Up? And we're going to get, I spoke to 65,000 people last year. I counted them. Bankers, miners, truckers, everyone agrees we have to kill the myth and liberate young people. And if you're telling your kid they have to go to college and they're saying, I want to cook, they're not wrong. You are. Listen to them. But you got to have marketing, just like Don't Mess, to kill. You got to have awareness and then perception and then behavior. We're launching this campaign next fall. It's called Skill Up America. And we're going to liberate this country from elitism. I just made that up. Did you write that down? But do y'all agree? College is great for people, but also we got to let people know in this country that you can make a living and a life doing what you love to do. So this next video, and then we're going to wrap it up. This is what the Promiseland Project is going to look like. So if we could run that next spot.
Living in the promised land, our dreams are made of steel. The prayer of every man is to know how freedom feels. There is a winding road across the shifting sand, and room for everyone living in the promised land. promised land. Our dreams are made of steel. The prayer of every man is to know how freedom feels. There is the winding road across the shifting sand, and room for everyone living in the promised land. Living in the promised land.
Well, thank y'all. I'm not going to play the final video, but I want to thank y'all for what you're doing. I believe in the power of purpose, because intuitively, Gandhi was right when he said, you'll find yourself getting lost in the service of others. That's not soft. That's not kumbaya. This country is precious. And we need to create the future driven on purpose, not politics. And we need to create the future of Texas driven on purpose, not politics. And what y'all are doing doesn't have any politics. There's politics in it. But in the end, we're trying. When I saw that picture that someone had, that the state of Texas, and it showed the blood veins is water. We have to keep Texas alive by keeping the water flowing. And we're always in a bind where it's too little and too much. I get it. But we are doing the Lord's work. We got to keep going. God bless. Thank y'all.